All right, Kellen, now we're going to take a look at your backstroke from the above water front view. And this is one of my best views to watch people swim backstroke. So as you're coming over and moving towards the camera, one of the things that I kind of look for is how is your shoulder roll? And when I'm watching your backstroke, you're very flat with the shoulders. So your shoulders are barely rotating. And what that kind of creates is you have the straight line from shoulder to shoulder. It should be more pronounced. The top shoulder should be a little higher and the other shoulder should be a little deeper. So you should have a little bit more rotation, and that would help your arm be straighter coming over the top. So when I'm looking at your arm from the shoulder, and I'll take those lines off that represent your shoulders, and when I'm looking at your arm, it's straight to the elbow, and then it bends in from the elbow to the wrist, and then your hand turns back out. So instead of having a really straight line, we want a straight line like from here, from the hand all the way down through the shoulder. You have these bends in the elbow and the wrist. And the reason why you would have bends in the elbow and wrist are really because there's lack of rotation in the shoulders. So for you to kind of enter the water as you're coming over on the recovery, you have to reach behind the head. So right here, you're very flat with your shoulders. So you can see if I draw the line of where your arm should be, your arm should actually be a little bit outside of the shoulder line, and it should be coming from the shoulder almost straight back. And you can just see you're inside of that line. So there's your shoulder and there's the line that you should be on. And then you can see how your hand is bending from the elbow back behind your head. So in order to enter or try to enter pinky first as you're entering on backstroke, you have to make sure you're rotating. So your right shoulder should be this mark here, which is above the water, and then your left shoulder should be deeper in the water. So you should be more rotated towards your left side, which would help you reach straighter with that arm and reach in front of the shoulder and not back behind the head. The only way you can enter pinky first is by bending that elbow and then reaching behind the head in order to get that hand in the water. And again, on the right side, a little straighter on the right side with the arm, but you can see you're not bending the elbow, but you are bending the hand. So at the wrist, you are bending from the wrist back this direction. And you can see I would want your arm over here, so it should be right here from the shoulder, coming straight over the top. And you can see you're inside that line. And you're inside that line, again, because your shoulders are very flat. So you're very flat laying on your back, and you got to get some more rotation. Not a huge rotation. We're not looking for your hips to get to the side, but we are looking for your shoulders to get out of the water and create more rotation. And then you can see again, reaching in right behind the head. That's the only way you can get that pinky in if you're not on your right side at that point in time, if you're on your back, reaching over the head. So it slows down your rotation. So when we talk about stroke rate at practice, your stroke rate is right at 2 seconds per stroke, which means the entry point of entering the water here and then entering the water again, it takes about 2 seconds. And we really want to be 1.4 or below. And to get there, you have to have your shoulders acting in unison with the arms. So they need to be creating rotation that can actually pick up hand speed in terms of your backstroke. So the biggest thing for us to work on is getting those arms straighter, but getting some rotation in your shoulders when you swim backstroke. And you can just see how bent that arm is right there and how it's trying to come back behind the head. And then as we go forward, again, you can just see that line. The one thing I do like is when you're coming into the turn, you bend that elbow, you make it more like a freestyle stroke. I like to see you a little more turned toward your stomach. So when you're on the side here, making sure that you're rotating down towards the water. So making sure you're rotating that body a little bit more so that you're more on your stomach at that point, not so much on your side. And that's what I think a lot of the backstrokers I'm watching in our group, we just have to do a better job of getting to our stomach on a rotation. And then as we come into the turn, the one thing I did like on your turn is that you separate the feet as you're coming over for the flip turn. Knees are slightly in, would like them a little bit more in line, but I do like the fact that you came over, separated those feet for a good push off, good plant and push off. And I don't know that we'll see much coming out because after the kick out, but you can just see a little bit more of a splash when you're coming this way. You can see that the arm's a little straighter on the right side, but you can see it's bent a little bit, still bent at the wrist. And then the left arm, you can see quite a bit of bend in that elbow and in the wrist. And we want to just get those straighter. But again, if we can get your shoulders to rotate as you are exiting the water with your thumb, making sure that that shoulder is up and out of the water a little bit more, that's going to help straighten those arms.